want to start by thanking Jerry Kill for allowing me to take part today in a day to recognize the Epilepsy Foundation. I know some of the other coaches in the Big Ten you saw wearing the same pin that I'm wearing. I know it's something that's very important to him and his family, but I really appreciate the fact that he allowed me to be a part of that today. I'm excited for our football team. I'm excited for our football program to go to the ninth bowl game in 10 years. I think there's only 3 other teams in the Big Ten that can say that, if what we looked at is correct. And I think it's a really exciting day for this group of seniors to play their last game at High Point Solutions Stadium, to come back and win the way they did. I think there were some exceptional individual efforts, but when we look back on this tape, we're going to see a lot of things that we can improve, and a real, I think, team win. There's no doubt about that. Questions?
Kyle, as good as it was for the seniors, just to talk a little bit about the 2 freshman running backs and the performance they had.
Yeah, I got the final statistics here. 5.7 yards a carry for Josh, 7.5 for Robert. Josh had a 21-yard run. Robert had a 47-yard run. Some of the things that we've been lacking in the run game, they were able to help us produce today, because it's not just them, but it is a little bit of them breaking some tackles, making some people miss. And to make some big plays in the run game was important for us to operate on offense, and they were able to do that today.
Did Josh show you anything today that you hadn't seen, just from practice or in limited action?
I think he showed it to us in the game. It's never the same in the game as it is in practice. So we thought Josh was a really talented running back out of high school, and when we moved him to defense, we felt like he could help us there. And we moved him back because he felt like he could help us on offense, and we needed a little bit of something, and he and Robert were able to provide it. So that's exciting for us going forward.
Kyle, I know you take a lot of credit in having the recruits come in that aren't necessarily the highest touted guys and having them make an impact. What about these 2 guys specifically has allowed them to come in and make an impact right away?
I don't ever worry about how they're rated. I know you guys have heard me say that before. We've got some guys in the program that were really highly rated. I couldn't even tell you what either one was rated. Maybe Robert wasn't rated that high because he was hurt his senior year, but I will tell you that when we recruited him, we thought we recruited 2 really talented running backs, and I'm excited that it's playing out that way for them.
How would you tell your players about the bowl eligibility? What was your message to them about this game?
Before the game or after?
Either one.
Didn't say much about it before. It's all. The situation is different than last year to me, because last year it was the last game. We have 2 more games on our schedule, so I didn't think it was the same situation, so we didn't address it. They're certainly aware of it. Everybody in the country, when you get to 5, is aware that 6 is the magic number. But after the game, I told them how proud I was, and I told them they should be proud of it. It's not easy to do when you talk. Again, I'm giving you that statistic. I didn't double check it, so I apologize if it's wrong. But if it's accurate, and we're one of 4 teams in the Big Ten that's been to 9 bowl games in 10 years, that's something this program should be very proud of, and we certainly are.
Kyle, what was the difference offensively in the second half for you guys?
Execution. I think overall, I'm excited about the way Gary played. 16 to 27, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, ran for a first down. I thought he did an excellent job of managing what wasn't always a clean game offensively.
Kyle, does the bowl eligibility feel any different? Because we all know it was the hardest schedule you guys have ever faced. Is it more of an accomplishment because of that?
I would tell you it validates what I said at the beginning of the season, that I think we have a pretty good football team. And people told me, Coach, how do you feel? You guys have the toughest schedule in the Big Ten, and you got to go out to the West Coast in the first game. You're going to play Navy, and as well, I think we've got a pretty good football team, and I like our football team. I think more than anything, it probably validates how I felt about them, because I felt all along that we had a team that would be playing in the postseason.
How important is it just to be in the locker room after a win with the struggles of the last couple weeks?
I'm not sure it matters what you did last week. When you go back in that locker room after a game, you want it to be after a win. So to me, I'm excited that our program has gotten to 6. We've got a really challenging opponent for us next week on the road at Michigan State. They're a really good football team, and we've got some things we got to be better at to go out there and be one of them.
I'm sure you knew Coleman was a pretty good back coming in. What was your impression after the game?
Every bit as good as I thought. Some of the running backs we've seen this year are the type of players that if you misfit a gap, they're going to make you pay, and you saw it at the end of the first half. You misfit one gap, and now I'm not sure what their mindset was, but usually when you hand the ball off in that situation, it's to run out the clock. You'd have to ask Kevin, but goes from that to a touchdown. So I think, again, though, I would tell you that with that happening in the game, it speaks to how mentally tough this football team is and how mature this football team is, that they're able to go into halftime and then come out, and then he breaks another big run. And I think it was DeLon Stevenson that got him on the ground, which is always one of the things we preach on defense. Get him on the ground, make him snap it again, and then we hold him to a field goal, and then we come right back and score a touchdown on the next drive. And now we're playing from the lead a little bit. So I think it speaks to certainly his talent level. He's a very good player. But the maturity of this football team to handle those situations and then overcome them, that's really important for a football team.
You talk a lot about momentum within the course of a game. Was there a lot of concern on your part that with the way the half ended, that momentum would carry over into the second half?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I was concerned. It was something that we had to address at halftime. And I know everybody always wants to know, what'd you tell them at halftime, what'd you tell them at halftime? And one of the things, you tell them a lot of things at halftime, you make a lot of corrections, a lot of adjustments, but one of the things I said to them is we can play a lot better than we played in the first half. And when you're at halftime down 3 and you don't really feel like you've played very well, there's a lot to feel good about as you come back out for the second half.
Kyle, there's been a lot of talk about this being a must-win for you to keep some of the critics at bay. You feel this takes a little pressure off? Is this a sigh of relief?
I never felt that way. I don't read into those things very much. I feel nothing but support from the people in the decision-making positions here at Rutgers, and that's ultimately the most important thing. And our football team plays really hard week in and week out. We're not always excited about the result, but I haven't questioned their effort level or their attention to detail one bit the entire season. Their want to do it right. It's a special group of players down in that locker room, so I enjoy coaching them. So I put my focus on them because ultimately that's what I can have an effect on each week.
Got time for 2 more?
To follow up on that, you say you might not have felt any pressure personally. Do you feel that it changed the perception of your situation here? Whether it did or didn't, I mean, there was a perception out there. Do you feel it changed that?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the people who are doing the perceiving. I don't know. My wife's perception's not that. So she's the one I talk to. No, I don't know that I feel that way. And when you talk about pressure, I don't know if there's anybody who does this job that doesn't put a lot of pressure on themselves. We hold ourselves to very high standards every week when we come in here, and we have very high expectations for our program and how we operate. So I'm not as concerned about the external. I'm not naive to it. I don't live in a bubble, but I feel really good about the support I've been given here, and I think the program feels that, and it's part of the reason why we've had success this year.
Kyle, with Hicks and Martin, the way they ran today, did they give you said? I can't remember if you said it. Did they give you a little something different? But was it their ability to make yards after contact, or ability to be elusive and kind of sidestep some guys? What was it that you saw?
Better to answer it after I look at the film, but I would tell you, judging from what I saw today, it looked like a little bit of both. There were times I saw runs that were 4 yards. That were 4 yards because of the effort after contact, and then I saw, I think it was Robert made somebody miss on that run that went in the end zone. I think from the 9-yard line. Was that his run? Okay, so I think he shook somebody on that one. So, and teams that run the ball effectively, that's how it works. That's how it happens. You'd love to scheme it up and block everybody perfectly on every play, but there's just not a lot of that happening all around college football. But if you got a running back who can make a couple of yards after contact, now you're 2nd and 6 instead of 2nd and 8. And then you got a running back who can make somebody miss. Now instead of 1st and goal at the 2, it's in the end zone, and you don't ever live to see that next play. So, yeah, I think it's important. I think there's a little bit of both of that today.
Thanks, Kyle.